There's a gang of kids in this movie, a writer trying to search his soul and find out who he is, and there's also creepy monsters, and it's set in Maine. My goodness, this is all of the things that Stephen King loves. Hello Flickering Myth family, and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ. In our continued effort to look at all of the big releases for horror this year, we have one coming to Max. Stephen King adaptations are aplenty, but we haven't had one in quite some time, so let's talk about the new Salem's Lot. So first and foremost, I do want to say I'm happy for the state of Stephen King adaptations. We're still doing it, and that's awesome. We'll talk about that in more detail in a minute, but overall I wanted to give my quick thoughts and say, like, this is a man who has raised me. In my horror upbringing, Stephen King adaptations, the movies, the books, they've just been such a big influence. Shining, Carrie, Cujo, the original Salem's Lot. There's just a lot of these movies that really spoke to me, that really, that just work, and I just think it's a timeless thing. Or again, we'll talk about more of that in a bit, but I love that this movie even exists, and Salem's Lot is one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations since 2017's It. Like, this is exactly what I want from Stephen King. It is jam-packed with some pretty impressive acting. Gary Dauberman does his best directing I've seen yet, and I overall love the visual style and tone of this movie. It is classic horror, and that is exactly what I wanted from this piece. I did not want to step into this movie and go, oh god, flat lighting, oh my goodness, generic villains, oh my god. This movie is just so jam-packed with all of the stuff that you want from horror, that you want from Stephen King adaptations, and that you want from a damn good movie. I thought Salem's Lot was one of my favorite horror films I've seen this year. If I'm going to rank all of the horror movies, this isn't like a, wow, this is going to sit with me forever, but like I said, the craftsmanship, the thought and effort that went into it. I spoke to the cast for this film, like Lewis Pullman, Alfre, Woodard, Makenzie, Lewis, all of these people, and I just thought they were they spoke so highly of the film, the young cast, the director, the overall tone and the experience, that has helped my my overall liking of the movie, because you can just tell, but I saw that in the film. I can tell these actors were enjoying themselves. I can tell that they were having fun playing in this vampire-filled world, and my goodness, the best part of this movie for me is the vampires, and the way they turn this story into almost like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where you're slowly seeing this town succumb to this thing, and you're like, but my friends, but my people, but who can I trust? I absolutely love that type of storytelling, and I think Salem's Lot really is like it's more filled in with this story. I think, we're used to Salem's Lot being a long miniseries. This is a pretty hefty thing, but I was so impressed with under 2 hours. They got so much done, reinvented a little bit of things here and there, added a new flair, and really made me appreciate Salem's Lot like I've never had before. So the question of this section is, can Stephen King adaptations still work? This is a great example of, yes, it can. We are completely staying true to what we love about a Stephen King novel, but we're adding new flares. Maybe we've gender swapped them, maybe we kind of changed around characters just to give them a more kind of modern appeal in the sense of watching. This is still very 70s. This is like a period piece now. It feels throwbacky a little bit. Every now and then they would say a word that I'm like, that word feels incredibly modern. I don't know why that just stuck out to me, but I do love the throwback feel to this, and I think Stephen King works well in this time period. Is there things that I think could freshen this up? Sure, maybe get out of Maine, and I know that that's like the gimmick, but like a new setting, a new thing. We're always dealing with townies. We're always dealing with a lower class society that's trying to struggle. There's a lot of race issues. There's a lot of class issues. There's a lot of money issues. These are kind of common throughout the themes, and I just do feel that we have kind of run its course of like trashy townies going crazy and the young children and the adults trying to come together to fix this. We've done this before, but that's why I do feel that this is such a ultimate Stephen King adaptation, because it's everything we like. Like I said in the intro, it's the group of kids, which I love the young actors here. We have like the writer, Ben, who is just trying to get back home, to find inspirations, to fix that writer's block, to find out where he needs to go in life. That is such classic Stephen King. I mean, that's what the Bill character, and I love these kind of roles. I really do think Stephen King adaptations still work well. They're almost timeless. This story works well in 2024. It worked well in 1970 something. You know what I mean? I love that these stories are well. The Shining, I think I don't want to see a remake of it, but I think it could work again throughout time. Carrie, we tried multiple remakes. The sequel to The Rage, a little place in my heart for The Rage, Carrie 2. But yeah, I see these stories, and I love that we keep bringing them back. Do they all work? No. We tried Dark Tower. We tried, this, and this. They're not always going to be perfect, but I do think Stephen King's work is just so great to adapt, and we can see it here with Salem's Lot. This new version is just so classic Stephen King, but it still feels fresh. It doesn't feel like we're trying to remake the old Salem's Lot, like the miniseries or the other miniseries that we had, but we don't feel like we're straying too far away from what we know and love. It's just a perfect middle ground, and I think this movie really works well to make Stephen King fans happy and to make horror fans happy. Speaking of the horror, we have to talk about how good of a scary movie that this can be. What I love about this is the tone. This is goofy at times, but then there's this one kill in the middle of the movie where things start to shift and we really start getting the full-on vampire madness that I think the horror starts taking over. But the beginning of this, especially, there's an intro scene where they're bringing in the Barlow's kind of character in, and we're doing all that. My goodness, it's so classic horror. It's like Abbott and Costello, two bumbling guys trying to get this done. There's a bit of humor, there's a bit of scares, there's just this kind of perfect vibe, and that sets us up perfectly. I loved the romp that we went through the beginning of this. Meeting the characters, meeting the town people. We spend time to know some of these people. And again, I was just like, wow, I'm so used to Salem's Lot being such a longer adaptation that I thought we were going to rush through the plot points, and we kind of did. But at the same time, it was fine. I thought we got what we needed. We understood what the story was, who these people were. The Makenzie Lewis character, I could have maybe had a little bit more for her. But then by the end of the movie, things definitely pick up for everyone there. I overall like the horror of this. And like I said, the second half of this thing, when the vampires start taking over, it is full watching your loved ones get attacked and, changed. And then who can you trust? Maybe you enter a house, you think you could trust somebody, but then you can't. And then we have an explosive, drive-in finale that is just so classic horror final act. But it's still I don't want to say it reminds me of a superhero movie, but I love that they tried a blockbuster ending. They said, you know what, let's spice it up. Let's make sure we send people home happy, even though this is on Max and I'm already home and I'm happy though watching this. See, look, you sent me home happy, Salem's Lot. That's exactly what I wanted. It's a good old school horror movie. It has what it needs for in the terror, but it's a little bit funny, but there's a heart and soul to it. That's the thing with horror films. There needs to be a catharsis. I need to feel after. I heard someone talk about that with with shows like The Bear, where it's just everyone being angry and upset, and it's just so tense, but there isn't that, at the end of a horror movie, when the evil is defeated, and you can go, we've won. I love that feeling, and that's why we like horror movies so much. That's why I don't like cringe things too much. That's why I don't like, shock art or depressing movies anymore. I wanna feel something after. I could feel a little upset. I like a movie to stay with me long. Stayed with me for days, weeks, months after that. But what I like about Salem's Lot is I left happy, I left fulfilled, and that's what Stephen King can do, and that's what a good horror film can do. And my goodness, I think Salem's Lot is pretty damn good. Well, that is it for my feelings on the new Salem's Lot. The movie feels a little low budget at times, but I appreciate so much of this. It is so cute, it's so fun, it's so scary. The kids, oh my god, vampire kids will always be scary. You won me over there. What did you guys think of my review? What do you think of this new Salem's Lot? Are you excited for it? Do you want to check it out? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. Subscribe to Flickering Myth and give us a thumbs up if you did enjoy. Alright everyone, let's talk about Stephen King movies, and specifically, let's talk about Salem's Lot right down below.